The other day, I had a feeling that I wasn't supposed to go to a certain event. I wanted to go, but I just didn't have peace about it. Having spent the last few years learning to hear the Lord's voice, I knew that this feeling was a direction. I reached out to my friend to tell them I couldn't go, and I apologized and said I didn't know why, but I just knew the Lord had other plans for me. My friend was good with it and actually texted me that next morning, to tell me they ended up taking initiative to go to the Lord for themselves. This person got the same direction from the Lord and ended up thanking me. It ended up being good for them too. So that was awesome. Praise the Lord. Sometimes you can't see what's coming. You might not know all the details of what's in front of you. The Lord only ends up giving you that next step. So it requires learning to take the next step. And when you take the next step, he gives right in front of you the things. Like it's like right when you get into that moment, then the next step becomes clear. Then the things become clear right when you get into that moment. So that morning, I spent time with the Lord, and it was beautiful and helpful time. I find that when I spend time with Him, everything else in life begins to make sense. And attempting to figure out life without Him is so much more difficult. After spending time with him, I had a prophetic call like a phone call to help encourage, uplift, and build up a person who needed help. However, they didn't show up. And I was able to just spend time with the other person who was there to be a blessing. And they're actually going to join for the conference that I put on this weekend. And it was really awesome to have them there. So perhaps that was one of the reasons not to go to the event that day. After the call, I got to work on the conference that I had coming up, and it was actually this weekend. And so I'm so glad to have gotten to take the time to work on those lessons. The Lord gave me more wisdom and insight on how to help families grow and lead them into a place that they can become legendary. And I've got a vision for families to walk fully with the Lord, and He continues to give me wisdom and insight. While working on the conference, the Lord began to urge me to leave now and go to another location. I was planning to continue to write there, but when I sat down, a friend showed up, and it was the perfect timing. My friend began to tell me about the journey they had been walking. They had even thought about me recently, was wanting to reach out, and here I was. The Lord worked it out. We chatted for about an hour, prayed for each other, and the Lord did some really neat things. At one point, my friend mentioned how they had felt like they weren't seen. I told my friend that the Lord planned this whole thing out and that they were seen. And I said, He sees you. And it was a really neat moment. At some point during the day, another friend had messaged me in a group message about a friend who was in the hospital. And I thought to myself, this must be the reason I had to stay today. I must go. We scheduled a time to go, and I arrived a little early. And I found a piano in the lobby of the hospital and decided to play. It was so fun, and it reminded me of playing in the past. It really made me want to play some more. And I actually have that video. I think it's the video right before this. So check it out. That was me playing, just playing for fun, making it up. So my friend arrived, and we went in to pray for the guy in the hospital. And it seemed like he was actually already doing a lot better even before we got there. And I know this might seem insignificant compared to the guy in the hospital, but I was feeling pain in my wrist. And so after we walked out, I asked the people with us if any of their wrists hurt. And my friend had actually hurt his wrist while rock climbing. He told me how it had been hurting for a while. He let me pray for him, and all the pain left after the second prayer. Praise the Lord. After that, I was on my way to another friend's concert. I needed some gas, and there was a car next to me that wasn't starting. On the way out to the hospital, I had been reminding myself that faith comes by hearing. I'm filled with Christ. I'm a branch connected to the vine. And when I speak, mountains move. And I had been listening to Derek Prince's book about, and the prayer titled, about prayer, and it's titled Secrets of a Prayer Warrior, where he claims all his prayers get answered. My faith was being stirred. So while I stood there gassing up my car, I began to pray for that other car to start. And after they struggled to get the car to start multiple times, it was like, like just kept doing that. And it finally began. And I was like, whoa, praise the Lord. Was it praying that started it or just trying to start it multiple times? I'm not sure, but it was a faith builder for me. Then while I went to this concert, I went to the bathroom and ran to a guy who had fragments of his fingernails removed from an industrial accident, and he was in a lot of pain. He let me pray for him. He ran off before I could ask how it went, but nevertheless, if I hadn't been in the restroom at that exact moment, I would have missed him. And I saw him later, and he said, "Thank you for praying." Today was a day, or this day was a day of continually being in the right place at the right time. The Lord wants his people to be in the right places at the right times. And it's important to learn to hear his voice. He is speaking, and he will lead and guide you and direct you. So stick around for more stories about how awesome Jesus is and how he wants to move in your life. And feel free to share this with other people who you think might be encouraged. Thanks. Be blessed.